Head over to miniaturemarket.com, play thousands of board games at discounted prices like Gutenberg. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going back to the 15th century where we're going to be using ink and typesets, and we're going to be printing things. Today we're talking about Gutenberg. This was a small limited release in Essen last year, and this year, just recently, they brought it to North America with Portal Games. So let me show you how this game's played. I'll see you on the other side. In Gutenberg, everyone's gonna have their own board, and over the course of the game, you're gonna be getting points mainly by finishing orders. Now, these orders are made up by two distinct cards, printing cards and refinement cards. So for example, everyone starts with some typeset, which are letters. They're these really cool wooden pieces here. Now I have an I and a U, and it's cool that these are sort of like flipped backwards because that's the way that they were put in the press, you know? So I actually have an I and a U, and great, if I do this project, I'm gonna get $2. However, if I'm able to do these other refinements, which is like, hey, having a red and a yellow ink, I'm gonna get 4 points. If in addition to that, I'm at level 4 on this specific track, which you don't start there, then you would also get 3 points, and if you do both of them, you get this. So if you had all of this, you'd get $2 and 9 points. But in this case, let's just say I had this, I get $2 and 4 points. Now, interesting thing in this game is ink, well, thematically gets used up, so it's gone too. It goes back into a bag, but the typesets you get to keep. So you can actually hold up to 4 different orders, and you actually start with 2 sets that you'll be drafting at the beginning of the game. So how do you go about doing that? Well, here's the board. It's set up right now for 4 players, but it scales for 3 or 4 players on this side of the board and 2-player board on the other side. Now you're gonna be doing different things like grabbing different orders like we had just showed you, or grabbing sets of ink, or you're gonna be grabbing these cards which allow you to go up on those tracks that I showed you earlier. For example, this order requires always just the top. If you didn't do any of this, it's fine. You could just do this and ignore this, and you're just gonna get $2, but both of these get removed. You can't do any of these without doing these. So this is always in addition to, but let's say I did this. This one, let's say I had gray ink, but I was trying to work up some of these. Well, when you go up those tracks, something like this will allow me to move up both of these tracks. So I would go up something like this and something like this. But right now I'm only at level 1 of those. I need to be at level 2, so maybe I want to wait till another round or 2 to finish this to get those extra 3 points. Well, do I really want to? Well, it depends on what else is going on in the game, but that's pretty much how that works. So when you're grabbing ink, this is going to be interesting because you can grab any set of these, but you grab from left to right. Like if you grab this set, this one's free, then you can optionally buy this, you can optionally buy this. If you want this one, you've got to get them all because you got to go left to right, but there's different stacks of these that you do that to depending on how many players are in the game. Now you can also get these gears, which are going to be great for upgrading. For example, let's say I took this one. You'll notice they have these lines, and you set it up like this. This is what is active. You get to decide, and once per round, you can activate the active side and then say, okay, I've used it, I won't use it again. Like this says I need one, you can put 1 red ink back in the bag, which has a bunch of different ink colors, to take any 2 that I want. So let's say I had red. Great, I can throw this back in the bag, and I can get anything I want, 2 of them. One of them could be gray, which is what I'm working on here, so this is a great ability for that, for example. Now let's say it's a few rounds in, because you can only get 1 of these per round. At the beginning of the next round, this is going to spin, changing which ability it is for all 3. And you could use all of them, like this would get me a red ink, for example. This one allowed me to move up 1 on the minimum of my track. These are tied, I get to decide, maybe I move up 1 like that. Again, always saying that you can only use it once. So you can use all these different abilities, you're trying to time them at the right time, but once per round, if you're not using a specific gear, for example, if I haven't yet used this one this turn, and I've gone there to take this action, instead of replacing one of these with a new one, I can take one of these and put it to any side I want and then use it, assuming that I haven't already used this gear this turn. This might get me a number of points based upon the round number, things like that. And in this bottom section, you're able to take an action like moving up a track or getting money or ink or taking more orders, but you can also get some end game goals, because this is going to be going around, it's 6 rounds long in the game, but as you get to certain rounds, like round 3 and 4, any of these are available, which means in this case, hey, you need to have 2 O type sets, and you need to have 2 red ink. These you keep as normal. These you have to turn in. These are all worth, each one you get is worth 8 points at the end of the game, so sort of like end game points, if you will. So now you know what you're trying to do. Let's tell you how you go about doing it. Each round, players are going to plan. Now you're going to have a certain amount of initiative cubes depending on where you are in turn order. The first player actually gets the least amount of cubes because they basically win ties. And the closest to turn order wins ties. So actually the first player will have like 7 initiative cubes, but if you're playing a 4-player game, the 4th player is going to have 10. Each player gets one more than the one in front of them, which is interesting because you're trying to figure out how badly you want to do an action. Because by saying this says, I want to be able to do this first, because once everybody has set this up simultaneously, everyone will reveal. And you start from the top and you work your way down. At each one, you look and see who has the most initiative, who put the most cubes there. And whoever did will get to do that action first, and so on and so forth all the way down, with ties being broken by turn order. So this is like the top of the board, for example, which of course are grabbing new orders, and the next one's ink, and the next one is going up to tracks, and so on and so forth. And so when you get to your turn, like say you get to go first, then you're gonna be the first one to do it. So it's always tough to figure out, well, I wanna do at least one thing here. I wanna do something here, so I'll put one, but I might do it last. But I really wanna go first because I really need that, so you do this. And it's always a tough decision to do what how many to put where. But again, you'll go through each of these going in turn order, meaning whoever has the most. And you'll do all that all the way to the bottom there. And once everyone's gone through all those, then everyone can fulfill these different orders. Like I have the O and the U, I've got the gray, but I don't have these, so I could do this one for $2 and 2 points, for example. Now remember, these go away, but these stay, and because these are being used in this, they cannot also be used in this round. However, if I had more typesets, and I had enough to do this in addition to these, I could do that. But typesets aren't easy to come by. I mean, you can get them anytime, but they cost a lot of money. You start with some of these, and each one costs a little bit more. For example, your fourth one is going to cost 4, your 5 one's going to cost 5, 6, 6, and so on and so forth. So you can have a bunch that will allow you to do multiple projects with the same letters, do it faster, but it is costing you money, but you are getting money when you do orders, so there's a lot of balancing that as well. So in addition to that, you're trying to move up. Anytime your first track gets up to any one of these 4 arrows, you move this over, get a little ability like taking any ink, getting new orders, getting new typesets, and things like that. But in a nutshell, that's what you're trying to do. You'll be doing this for 6 rounds. You'll be gaining points from these during the game. You'll be gaining points from those special things at the end of the game. Like if you had done this, you would have gotten 8 points at the end of the game. But you're also going to get points for where you are on these tracks, like 6 points, 3 points, and so on. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. I always love realistic and historical themes. This is another one. You know, this thing really happened. Gutenberg's a real person, made the printing press. And I like learning about things, and these tend to be the style of games I like. So I really like the theme here. I like the look and feel of sort of the board and just the icons. Everything sort of gives that sort of older feel to it. So I think they did a good job making this thing look and feel like an old game, even though it's a modern design. I love the hidden simultaneous action selection. You put your little board, you shield around your board, and you're programming those actions, and you're trying to figure out, oh, what do I really want to do this turn? Well, I really got to get another order. Okay, well, how badly do I want it? Well, is there something I really love out there? What about other people? Do other people have orders? Are they kind of full, or are they going to be shooting for it? What about the gears? What about the ink? Which ink do I need for this round? What inks do other people need for this round? And what's out there? You got to try to predict what other players are doing. I love that aspect of this. Every action, you're trying to figure out how badly you want it based upon what's out there, based upon your stuff, and looking at everybody else's. Just the threat of them being there makes you think differently each game. I like that. And the balancing of the turn order with this was really cool. That when it's a tie, first player gets it, and then going clockwise. Well, the people that are later in turn order, each of them get 1 additional cube from the first player. So the one who's going last gets the most cubes, but they also are worst in tiebreaker. So it's a really interesting balance of how they figured out how to do that. And, the way everyone passes the cube to the one who passed the first player marker at the end, it all sort of balances out and works well. I like the way that works. This is a Euro game for sure, but you are constantly in each other's way. Like the people you're fighting for stuff that you want, that they want, especially towards the end where you're fighting for those big end game goals. I mean, you've got your own solo thing going on, but man, there is a ton of turn angst is huge in this game where you're like, oh gosh, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Let's reveal. As soon as you reveal, you're looking and you're going, okay, how many cubes did they put there? Okay, I'm going to go first there. Oh shoot, I'm going to go. Oh, me and them are tied, but they're before me in turn order. That might change what I'm going to take first, because if they take what I think they're going to take, then I'm going to have to do a different plan and take a different order. It's just really cool, the exercises that your brain goes on just when you reveal the stuff, and you already are starting to figure out who's going first on what things. What am I going to be able to get? Before we even start going through the board, and as things start going, you're thinking and changing your plans based upon even how many cubes people have on there, the initiative cubes, based upon what they have and based upon what you think they want to do. Really cool. A lot of getting in each other's heads in this game. It makes it really fun. You're planning for the entire round, but you're also planning for future rounds. You know, you're trying to think of what you're going to get. Oh, you know what? I've got this. No good ink out there for this round, so I'll get this for this one. But then for next round, I'll go move up this track because then I'll be able to get level 3 on this one. I like it. Tactical for now, but strategic for future. Good balance there. This game has some hate drafting, which I kind of like, especially towards the end. Oh my goodness gracious. When you're trying to get stuff, you know, if someone took what you really needed in the last round and you're like, this person's downstream from me on this end game goal. Ooh, they've been working to get that. I don't need it. I don't need the other thing either, but I'm going to keep them from getting 8 points. I'll take it. This game can be super cutthroat and brutal, especially towards the end of the game. So if you don't like that, this might not be for you, but I love it. I like that when you're creating these, when you're finishing these contracts and such, you're using up the ink, which is thematic, and you're keeping the typeset, which is thematic. And I like that, and it makes the game sort of clever in the design, that way it does things. It's sort of, the flexibility. The gears. I like this because it's an interesting puzzle of you're getting these gears, you're trying to set them in the right spot, they're going to spin, the second one's going to spin in the opposite direction. Things like that. But I also like that each round they're going to spin. You can use them at any time that round. But instead, if you put at least one cube there and you don't take a gear, you can pick one up and put it any way you want and use it, assuming you haven't used it that round. And I like that. That gives you a lot of flexibility. If you're trying to time this puzzle perfectly, and if you do it efficiently, you'll be rewarded. But if you got a really good ability that's really going to help you this round, I can give up everything else and just do that one ability on that thing. On that gear, pick it up, put it down, do that ability, and things like that. I like that. And being able to do multiple abilities, one on each of the gears is cool too. So the special abilities is optional. There's enough going on the first game. I would recommend not playing with them your first game. But after that, once everyone knows what they're doing, put them in. Even with 4 players, the box says 1 to 2 hours. In 4 players, if everyone has played before, you should be able to get this done in 90 minutes, which is great for a game that has this type of a feel to it. And this crunchy, it still gets done relatively quickly. On the negative side of things, at the beginning of the game, you draft your first contracts and such. You pick in the cards. Anytime you draft endgame, like any type of goals of things that you're working on, I always like it if there's sort of like a first game thing. Hey, you're playing with 4 players. These players start with this numbered card. Or these are starting cards. This color goes to this player, whatever. Figure out a way to give someone go, hey, these are balanced. Pass one of these out to everyone. It'll be balanced. You don't have to think about strategy when you don't even know what the heck you're doing. I like that. It wasn't here. It's just a small nitpick. Would just make the first experience more pleasant for people. But it's fine. It's not the end of the world. On the back side of the 1 coins, there's the G for Gutenberg. But the G in Gutenberg looks like a 5. So if you're looking across the table and you're looking at all these coins, some of them look like fines. Now, granted, they look like copper. They look like a penny, which is a value of 1. But if you're new to the game and you don't know that, you're going to look at it and look at them and think, these 5s? What the heck? Kind of a weird thing. Again, a small little nitpick because this game is fantastic. And the last thing is, in some of your early games, the typesets, I like thematically that they're backwards because that's kind of like how you do it in the printing press. The O is easy to tell, the I, the U's. The A, if it's your first time playing, you're going to look at that and go, that doesn't even look like an A. It doesn't even look like an A backwards. That one might throw you for a loop. Just think that all of them are pretty obvious except the A. If you're looking at something, you're like, what letter is that? It's probably an A. I wish that one was a little more obvious. Again, nitpick, tiny little thing. As I mentioned earlier, this game can be way more cutthroat than some might expect in a Euro game. For me, it's a positive. But for you, if you don't like aggressive hate drafting and totally getting shut out of a plan because someone took it from you, whether they needed it or not, probably towards the end of the game, might be a little too mean for you. But for me, I love that aspect. So that's it. I mean, I really enjoyed this game a ton. So there you have it. There's Gutenberg. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games, and helping you find the next one you'll love. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below to late pledge for their latest Game Topper 3.5 Kickstarter campaign.